First of all, everyone, thank you very much for joining this morning. As Norman mentioned, my name is Ciara Byrne. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager here at EPI, Event Partners Ireland. And this morning, we're going to bring you on that journey to Belfast and Northern Ireland as a new, exciting destination for you to consider for your clients. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Um, just make sure you can all see. All good? Perfect. Okay, super. So this is our journey through Belfast and Northern Ireland. So we'll take you on this journey between the region of Northern Ireland. So the map here highlights the island of Ireland, showcasing Belfast in Northern Ireland, and then Dublin in what we call the south of Ireland or the Republic of Ireland. And it just shows the close proximity of both. And the outline of the top of the map here just indicates the area and the region of Northern Ireland and Belfast and where it is exactly on the map of Ireland. It's a very intriguing destination in that it is technically two countries in one. And this really brings me on to my next point about when people come to Belfast or think of Northern Ireland, they're sometimes very much intrigued about the destination because they're just not too sure about, exactly what makes Northern Ireland and the how is it Ireland? Is it the UK? So I've listed just 6 questions here, location being one, just of questions that we get asked quite a lot about the region, and sometimes questions that people might be afraid to answer or to ask about Northern Ireland and Belfast. So the first one being that unique location and the fact that Belfast and Northern Ireland, as the map alludes to here, sits in the island of Ireland, but it actually belongs to the United Kingdom. So you do have two countries in one, which is very intriguing and very interesting to people as well when they're looking at it as an option. Ireland is made up of 32 counties, and Northern Ireland, which is highlighted again here in the map of the outline, is made up of 6 counties. So 32 in total, 26 in the Republic, 6 in Northern Ireland. The most famous one being Antrim, which is where you find Belfast. The Troubles is always a conversation or a topic that comes up when we refer to the destination. And the Troubles refers to a period of political conflict in Northern Ireland, which spanned approximately 30 years between the 60s and the 90s. Which ended then with the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in April 1998, which really kind of started the whole peace process in Northern Ireland and paved the way for tourism to be, more of a runner now and more of an opportunity to bring visitors back to the destination, whereas before it would be perceived as an unsafe destination, whereas now, following on from the Troubles and the signing of the Good Friday Agreement, there is definitely peace in the destination, and it's very much open for business in terms of tourism. Where Northern Ireland is actually celebrating 25 years of the signing of the Good Friday Agreement next month. So there's lots of celebrations planned throughout the region just to highlight just how far they have come during this time also. So it's a really, really exciting time to visit the destination. Currency, again, because it is part of the United Kingdom, they do have a different currency to the Republic of Ireland. So they use the pound sterling, whereas in the Republic and in the South, we use euro. Belfast has actually got 2 airports. So you have Belfast City Airport and Belfast International Airport. So plenty of opportunity for access, which we're going to touch on just in the next few slides, because we have some exciting announcements to make in that area also. And then transfer times. So a lot of people wonder, is it easy to get to? So with Belfast Airport as well, with Belfast City Airport, it's only a 5-minute transfer from the airport to your various hotels in the city centre, making it extremely accessible. Now, of course, Dublin has the greater access. So if you flew into Dublin, it's only a 90-minute transfer by coach from Dublin Airport up to Belfast. So there's the opportunity to fly into Dublin also. And another popular thing that we do is we offer split programs between Dublin and Belfast. So you could fly into Dublin, do one night in Dublin, for instance, and then take a train up to Belfast, which is only 2 hours from Dublin up to Belfast, again, making it super accessible. So lots of options there. So, so reason we're being asked, so why Belfast? Why now? And what is it that makes Belfast so different to other regions in Ireland? Basically, Belfast is an exciting destination on the rise. So they have so much to talk about in Belfast. There's been so much investment in the city, and the product is of such a high quality that we really want to put it on the map for guests to come and visit and explore and experience this new energy that's in the destination. Because Belfast is so small and so compact, it really is an opportunity to make the city become your venue. And we'll talk a bit more about that later on. But it's very easy to get a lot of venues, pubs, restaurants working together to make the city come alive for your group. The unique location, again, as we touched on, between the UK and Ireland. So very much a lot of intriguing questions around that, and making it very appealing for somewhere new and something fresh to look at. And then also Visit Belfast, Belfast City Council and Tourism Northern Ireland have very much come together as a support system to offer financial supports and practical supports for people coming in to visit the region and to visit Belfast. So there's financial supports and practical supports available, which we can get on your behalf, which will help with your financial issues. Maybe if you know, it'll help financially to bring groups into the region. So just some of the recent accolades that Belfast have won. In 2018, Lonely Planet and National Geographic both highlighted Belfast as a best region in the world and also a rising star of tourism. So again, just showing that these two global institutions are recognizing the importance and the significance of this destination. And down in the bottom right-hand corner, I'll just draw your attention to the International Travel and Tourism Awards, which announced Belfast as the best food destination in 2019, which is definitely an accolade they thoroughly deserve, because food provenance has been at the forefront of Belfast for a long, long time, and they pay particular attention to this. And then in the right-hand corner here, you have Belfast has been listed in the top 10 sustainable destinations by the Global Destination Sustainability Movement, which is a huge accolade for such a small and, I suppose, new destination. It just goes to show that Belfast is not only trying to attract tourism now, they're really trying to future-proof for the future and make it a sustainable destination that it will last for years to come. So access, which I touched on earlier, we have some very exciting news for the German market. Most recently, Lufthansa announced that they're going to start offering their first direct flight into Belfast next month. So that's happening in April 2023. And there's going to be 4 flights per week from Frankfurt into Belfast City Airport, which is even better news, because coming into Belfast City Airport, if you remember, it's only a 5-minute transfer then into your city centre hotels. So it really is making the city extremely feasible and accessible. You could do a really lovely 3-day incentive program, flying in on a Friday, flying out on a Monday, in and out of Belfast from Frankfurt. Just giving you a bit more options to really carefully consider this destination for your groups. Belfast International Airport then also services many other European hubs. So if you do have delegates coming from other parts of Europe, they can fly into Belfast International Airport. And then, of course, as I mentioned, Dublin Airport has the greatest access, with 26,000 seats per week on direct flights from Germany, and only being a 90-minute transfer from the airport from Dublin Airport up to Belfast. So plenty of options, but the big news being that the direct flight from Frankfurt and Belfast is underway next month. Again, the train journey is another option. So if you were to do a dual program between Dublin and Belfast, we can take you by train up to Belfast, which only takes a 2-hour transfer. We can also privatize these trains, so we can make it part of the incentive experience by bringing on entertainment. We can brand the train. If you have smaller groups, we can brand a carriage. So it's definitely something to consider. And then the 2 hours pass in the blink of an eye because your guests will be entertained on the journey to their destination. Now, so the Belfast as an incentive experience. What I really love about Belfast is it has a story to tell. And you really can see that it has come so far from its history and from the troubles that it has gone through. But it has re-emerged as an exciting, a funky, a cool, a rock and roll style attitude city with lots for everybody to experience. But with this rock and roll and gritty and raw side of the city, it also has amazing 5-star accommodation options. So I truly believe that Belfast punches well above its weight when it comes to the incentive product that it has to offer. I've just kind of listed some of the 5 and 4-star properties here that work extremely well for incentive and corporate groups. I'll just touch on a few here. So Fitzwilliam Hotel in Belfast, 130 bedrooms in the city centre. Some of you might recognise this property from Dublin. It has a sister hotel in Dublin, also the Fitzwilliam Hotel on St. Stephen's Green. So there is this 5-star option in the heart of Belfast City. The Merchant Hotel is a lovely small boutique property in the Cathedral Quarter in Belfast. So this has 62 bedrooms. It's very much your opulent 5-star option. So for VIP groups, if you had a small group of say 30 people, this hotel could work perfectly for that group. And then the Culloden Hotel down on the right-hand side here. I wanted to mention this hotel in particular because a lot of people, when they think of Ireland, they think of the castle properties. And granted, a lot of those properties are located on the west coast of Ireland. So the likes of Adair Manor, Dromoland Castle, Ashford Castle, they would be some of the more popular hotel options in Ireland. But in Northern Ireland, you do have the options of the likes of Culloden Hotel, which is on the outskirts of Belfast. It's only a 15-minute drive from the airport. It has 98 bedrooms and it has amazing views over Belfast Lough. So again, this could be your option for your castle property. Excuse me. I'm going to pay particular attention then to the Grand Central Hotel, which is one of Belfast's newest properties, and it has 300 bedrooms. It's in the city centre. It's very much a contemporary style property. And the great thing about this property is they will give the hotel over to us exclusively. It's very much a focus on the bedrooms. It's somewhere to come, rest your head, sleep. It's not a conference property. It's somewhere that you can have your group stay with the bonus of having the city on your doorstep. And at the very top of the property is the Observatory Lounge, which has amazing views out over the city, especially at nighttime, where you get those amazing views of the city and City Hall and really kind of find your bearings of where you're located. Excuse me. So these are just some other images. And the bedroom image there, you'll see the view out over City Hall. And on our recent FAM, we did a drinks reception up in the Observatory Lounge and then out for dinner in one of the fantastic restaurants in Belfast City. So it's a great option for groups and also a much better price point than maybe some of the hotels in Dublin, which we're finding are unfortunately since the pandemic risen slightly. So the price point in Belfast for a 5-star property, you're looking at about €295 bed and breakfast, which is a really great starting rate. Titanic Hotel is another hotel that I just want to pay particular attention to. It's a 4-star property located in the Titanic Quarter. Now, the significance of this property is it's actually located on the grounds of where the famous Harland and Wolff shipyard headquarters were located. So it is steeped in history. It has 119 bedrooms, so it's really lovely for that, 80 to 100 size program. It can do up to 300 people for meetings, and it has some really quirky points of interest throughout the property. For example, like the drawing offices where Titanic was designed is actually still in the hotel, and you can use that for some of your meetings. So it's, as I said, steeped in history. It has an amazing art heritage collection also, and just lots of opportunities. Even from the bedrooms here, you'll see views out over Harland and Wolff shipbuilding and the famous cranes that are so iconic in the city centre. So it's a wonderful property to consider for your groups. Now, for activities, there is again, and there's no shortage of options to do here in the city. So Belfast street art, there's a lot of up and coming artists in the city centre, which they're only too happy to bring you off on art trails around the city, showcasing some of the amazing artwork that's on display in the city, and really bringing the story of Belfast to life. The Titanic Peace Wall, again, is another really famous piece of street art where you can actually sign the Peace Wall as part of your walking trail, which is really fun. The Belfast crack. Now, again, the crack is not only significant to Belfast, the crack can be found all over Ireland. But just to explain, the crack means fun, nothing else. So it means fun. And you'll often hear people talking about crack agus ceol, and that means fun and music, which brings me on to my next image here of the musicians here in a pub in Belfast. So basically, Belfast has garnered some amazing global musicians for such a small city, small destination. It's produced some world-class musicians such as Van Morrison and Snow Patrol. But in the pubs in Belfast, music can be found everywhere, and it's not unlikely to walk into a pub and see musicians in a corner playing what we call a session. So just an impromptu musical session for anyone who wants to come and see. And when we did our fam trip recently with STR, this was one of the main feedback that we got, was that the German guests that we brought here were explaining that in Germany, this wouldn't really happen. It would more be a ticketed event, or you'd have to pay to go in and see these musicians. Whereas in Belfast, it was everywhere in the city. And it's just that lively, fun atmosphere that people can take advantage of. So then we have the Lag and Legends, which is an experience we can offer in Belfast, focusing on the maritime history of Belfast and showcasing some of the art installations like the Big Fish, which are icons of the city. We can do tours around the Lagan, which is the river that runs through Belfast, on segways, on bike tours, on foot. So it really just brings that area of the city to life with a fun guide also. The Belfast Black taxis are extremely popular with our incentive and corporate groups. This is an experience where you send three to four people off in a black taxi cab with a driver who has lived through the Troubles in Northern Ireland and in Belfast, and they will give you their first-hand account of what happened. So it's a conversation starter, because everybody who goes on the tour comes back with a different story, because you're hearing the story of the Troubles from the driver. Now, sometimes their accents can be very strong and it can be hard sometimes to follow, but we're working on that as well at the moment to see how we can maybe even offer different audio guides for our German guests and other international guests. But it's a fantastic experience to incorporate as part of an incentive program. And there is numerous black taxis available. So in the past, we've done up to groups of 300 people on the black taxi tours. And they can be going in different directions of the city, all showcasing then as well the famous Peace Wall, and stopping off at various highlights around the city. Off the Eaten Track then is a series of food tours which we offer. So we have the fabulous Caroline here, who brings groups around Belfast to the hidden gems of the city, and really brings to life the food scene, which is so vibrant and thriving in the city. She's here at the moment in Georgia Street Market, which is an open air market selling every type of food under the sun. But she'll also bring you to some of her favorite restaurants, to the best place to get coffee, the best place to get cheese, and just to meet with the locals really and hear their stories. Titanic Belfast. I mean, there's not enough to say about this visitor experience. Titanic Belfast opened back in 2010, so it's only just over 10 years old. It's a fantastic visitor experience. It tells the entire story of Titanic from its design here in Belfast. Right through to the stories of people, boarding the ship, about all of the, like, it goes into details, finding out details of the various people who did board the ship as well, right through to its demise. So it goes right from A to Z, and it brings you on a journey through these galleries, telling the story of Titanic. It's also an amazing events venue, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. Glass of Thrones is another opportunity for people to discover in Belfast. So Game of Thrones was heavily filmed in Northern Ireland. Now we know it's not to everybody's taste and not everybody will be interested in Game of Thrones, but this is a really good initiative where Belfast have pinpointed in different areas of the city six stained glass windows depicting images from Game of Thrones. So even if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, you could incorporate this as part of a walking trail so that people who are interested in it can learn a bit more about the filming that took place in Belfast. And also it's a great photo opportunity. Local distilleries, so micro distilleries are popping up all over Belfast. There's a resurgence in whiskey making, gin making, vodka making all throughout Ireland, but it's very prominent at the moment as well in Northern Ireland, with probably the most famous distillery being Bushmills Distillery, which is just an hour north of Belfast City, up along the North Antrim coastline. So you can go and visit Bushmills, do the whiskey tasting, experience the distillery. But another really fun thing to do with Bushmills is to take it off site and bring it to maybe the Giant's Causeway and do a whiskey on the rocks experience. So here on the right hand side, you'll see the famous Giant's Causeway, which is an area of outstanding natural beauty and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is a series of basalt columns formed by a volcanic eruption, but there's lots of folklore and fables and stories that go along with this to really bring that whole area to life. So we can enhance the experience of the Giant's Causeway with the likes of whiskey on the rocks, with we can do helicopter rides over the cliffs or over the Giant's Causeway. We can enhance it with character actors. We can have some music playing down at various points of the Giant's Causeway as well. So there's lots of ways to enhance that overall experience. But to be honest, it really speaks for itself in terms of natural beauty. Explore the great outdoors. So there's so many opportunities along the various lochs around Belfast as well, that you can get out and about in the great outdoors. And then world-class golf. So for any budding keen golfers, there we do have one of the top golf courses in the world in Northern Ireland in County Down, which is the Royal County Down Golf Course, and that is only 40 minutes transfer south of Belfast, and you're on this world-class course. So that can be arranged as well for any eager golfers in your group. Now we have again, just to kind of focus a bit more on what's available outside of Belfast and in the region of Northern Ireland, we have the wonderful Tracy's Farmhouse Kitchen, which you're going to meet very shortly. I see her waiting here in the lobby for us. So we're going to let Tracy in to explain a little bit more about her venue, and introduce you to what you can be done here. And the unique thing about Tracy's Farmhouse Kitchen is that you're coming into somebody's home. She's going to invite you into her home, do some cookery with you, but also she can still cater for those larger groups. Like a nice number for Tracy is about 80 people. And she can do rotations of maybe 30 people doing cooking, 30 people doing a farm tour, and maybe 20 people out on the loch doing paddle boarding or canoeing. So the whole area of where Tracy is based is called Strangford Lough in County Down. And it's an area of outstanding beauty. It's a really untapped, unspoiled area. And it's somewhere that we would like to be doing a bit more incentive experiences also. So just getting people into Belfast, but bringing them and exploring the outskirts also. Now, so here we have Glenshane Farm. Again, only 45-minute transfer from Belfast in the opposite direction. So you're going west this time into the heart of the Sperrin Mountains. So here you can walk in the footsteps of St. Patrick. You'll meet a fourth generation shepherd, and he'll be more than happy to introduce you to his flock of sheep, learn how to do the sheep herding, see the sheep shearing happening if it's the time of year. So it's a really authentic experience that groups really, really enjoy. And it's just good to know that 1,500 years after St. Patrick was here, that it's still, the sheep herding and sheep farming is still being done in the exact same way. These are just some images again of the dramatic coastline. So again, only an hour north of Belfast, this is the type of scenery that you have on your doorstep. And it's something that we really just need to hone in on and remind people of this stunning coastline that really surrounds Belfast and Northern Ireland. Again, we can do helicopter rides across the cliffs. We can take over like private farms where we can pitch marquees and do like a really special lunch. Teach people maybe how to do Gaelic games, learn how to play hurling, learn how to play football in this amazing outdoor space. And just that dramatic coastline on the doorstep, I really feel we should be using that a lot more for groups that we have up in Belfast. And then the walled city of Derry is only an hour and a half transfer from Belfast. So you can get another city in on your trip to Northern Ireland also. And Belfast and Derry is a hugely historic town with walls surrounding the city that are over 400 years old. So a lot to be explored and discovered in this city also. And then just to mention some off-site evening options in Belfast. So I mentioned Titanic Belfast. You have down here in the left-hand corner this famous staircase, which some of you might recognize from Titanic the movie, where Jack and Rose displayed their love for each other here. But this room is called the Titanic Suite in Titanic Belfast, and it can be taken over for private events. We can do up to 800 people reception style or 350 people for dinners in this very space. So it's really iconic for the city. Up in the top left-hand corner, you have Hillsborough Castle, which is the royal state home for when you have King Charles visiting Belfast. So this is the state residency when he comes on his official visit. So when he's finished in Germany and he's coming to Northern Ireland, this is where he'll be coming to stay. But outside of his visits, the Hillsborough Castle is available to rent. And we can do exclusive hire of the castle, and this can do up to 140 people for dinner or 250 for reception. So again, really amazing venues on the doorstep of Belfast. The SS Nomadic here featuring in the middle, it just stands very proudly in front of Titanic Belfast in the Titanic Quarter. So you'll see in the background you have Titanic Belfast, and then to the right you have the Titanic Belfast Hotel. So everything is very compact and very close by in the Titanic Quarter. But the SS Nomadic is like the mini Titanic. It was the tender ship to Titanic. And it's the last surviving White Star Line ship in the world. So it's very iconic. We can take it over privately for events, and you can do receptions in here for up to about 180 people. Lots of different ways to play around with this venue also. So it's really something worthwhile seeing and including on your next and centre programme. Queen's University is up in the right-hand corner. So it's a 19th century university, and really the options here are limitless. For large conferences, they can do up to over 1,000 people. For dinners, again, any numbers between like your 300s or right up into the larger space. You can do the 800s here as well for large dinners, but they equally have small meeting rooms, small breakout options, and also, iconic rooms in here. For instance, one of the meeting rooms was a former church, and now can be used as a venue for dinner or for conferencing. So plenty of options, and I can share all of the capacities of each of the various rooms and wings within the university also, just for your reference. And then down in the right hand corner you have the famous Crumlin Road jail, which would have housed the prisoners of the Troubles. So it's steeped in history. We can take it over privately for an evening event. There's so much, yeah, as I said, history associated with this. So the jail and the courthouse are very much intertwined with a secret underground tunnel running between the courthouse and the jail. So when prisoners would have been, if they were convicted guilty, they would have been taken down through the tunnel, away from society, and walked underground back into the jail. The jail closed in the mid 90s as an operating prison, and now it's open to us to use as venues, as tours, as even a conference facility. If that's something that you wanted to look at, doing something different for a conference, it certainly would spark a lot of debate and a lot of talking points. So it's an amazing venue, and I can share some more images of that with you also. Um, this is an image here of just how the city can become your venue, pretty much. We touched on it earlier. And I mentioned about Belfast City Council, Visit Belfast, and Tourism Northern Ireland working together to really highlight Belfast as a destination that's ready to do business. And this goes to show the lengths that they will go to, that they can work together on closing down various streets in the city, and making it a private quarter in the city for your group. So this is in the Cathedral Quarter, where we used 3 different pubs for the evening event, and they basically, people could flow out onto the street, onto the laneway, and really feel like the city is part of their program. You also have the larger venues such as the Titanic Exhibition Centre and the ICC Belfast, which are the venues to host those larger conferences. So your thousands, and upwards, of these venues are pretty much blank canvases that we can work with you to theme and to create different style events. And then just a little note on sustainability, which I know is very important to STR and EPI alike. So it's great to be aligned with a destination that is so heavily focused on becoming a sustainable destination. And it's very proud to announce at the moment that it's ranked 8 globally as a sustainable destination as part of the Global Destination Sustainability Index, which is a major, major achievement for the city. Belfast is a very walkable city, so that will reduce as well your need for coaches, which is great from a sustainability point of view, but also from a budget point of view. 73% of the hotel bedrooms in Belfast as well hold a third-party independent green accreditation. So it's great for us as well to be aligned with properties who are very focused on sustainability. City support and partnership. So I mentioned there about Visit Belfast and the City Council and Tourism Northern Ireland coming together to offer these supports. So there is a financial support available of £50 per head once you're bringing groups into the city. And groups what constitutes a group in here is over 10 people. So once you have a group that's eager to look at Belfast as an option, there is those supports available, and we're happy to make that application on your behalf. And sample programs, we can work on doing various sample programs for you. So whether it's a 3-day program in Belfast or a dual program between Dublin and Belfast, which we mentioned also, we can put together a bespoke program for you, highlighting exactly what can be done across 3 or 4 days, incorporating the various elements, whether that's music, whether that's food, whether it's nature, history, art, and a selection of all of the various evening options that we just discussed also. So that really brings me to the end of the presentation and just the short introduction into Belfast and Northern Ireland. I hope it gave you some food for thought, which brings me nicely, now speaking of food, to our surprise guest, who is Tracy Jeffrey from Tracy's Farmhouse Kitchen. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now at this stage. And I think we have Tracy here. So
yeah, can you see
Tracy, I'm just going to spotlight you here now, Tracy. Okay, so Tracy, we have you here, but we can't see you.
Oh, okay, right. So what do we see? Okay. Now, so right. So my camera is is on. What do we see? What do we see? Yeah, it says your video is highlighted for everyone in the meeting.
We can see you now.
Yeah.
I can see you as
at least
well.
I can see you.
Yeah.
Can
Okay.
everyone see? Okay, it must be just me that can't see.
Okay.
No, but I think you're visible for most of us. Can we can see you, Tracy. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, fabulous.
Brilliant.
Super. So Tracy, over to you. This is the wonderful Tracy Jeffrey from Tracy's Farmhouse Kitchen, who's going to bring us on a culinary journey through her fabulous venue also. So Tracy, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Ciara. Willkommen in my Küche. So that's as good as it gets. But I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you to my home where I live with my 2 teenage boys. You can feel very sorry for me because I live with 2 teenagers and my husband, and we have various animals. We have a small farm here, and we are very much self-sustaining. And Ciara mentioned about the sustainability aspect of things, which is really very important to us here. I live just on the very shores of Strangford Lough, just touching the water. And we, as I say, we just live off the farm. Everything that we eat, all of the food that we cook is taken from the gardens and from the fields around me here. So I'm very lucky to be in that situation and to only be 30 minutes from the centre of Belfast. So, you know, in 10 minutes leaving Belfast, you're hugging the shoreline and you're in a world apart. And as Ciara mentioned earlier, County Down, it's the first county you come to from Dublin on your way up from Dublin, but it's also very undiscovered. You won't see any other coaches on the roads here. It's very, very kind of quiet, hidden gem, if you like. So what I would like to do today, if it's okay, and it's something that is ready very quickly, and that is just to make you some traditional soda bread. And would you believe that the soda bread is ready from start to finish in about 10 minutes or so? We make it on the griddle, so we don't actually need to use an oven, we don't use yeast, and we don't weigh anything or measure anything. We just put our hand into the flour. Okay, so this is just plain all-purpose flour, and tip it into the bowl, and that's that. We do it in the traditional way, and that's where it's just a handful of this and a glug of that. The other ingredient, and there are only 3, is some baking soda or bicarbonate of soda. So just sprinkle a teaspoon of that into your bowl and mix it around. And then to that, the last ingredient that we add is buttermilk. And if you do find it hard to get buttermilk, just a big mug of ordinary milk, squeeze half a lemon into it, let it sit for about 30 minutes, and that is it has soured and it has gone lumpy, and that is your buttermilk. Okay, so I'm adding my buttermilk to the flour, and again, back in the day, traditionally, they would have just mixed the 2 together until they got a soft, sticky dough, and that's just what I'm doing here now. So the good thing about this for your guests, if they do decide to roll their sleeves up, and I know we did that recently with Ciara and event partners, and you know, they can't go wrong. If they add too much buttermilk, add more flour. If you add too much flour, add more buttermilk. Okay, you'll end up with the largest farls in Northern Ireland, but it doesn't matter because they are cooked on a griddle. So I now have my dough. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to sprinkle my flour on the table and be quite generous. And then,
Tracy, we lost you. Your camera has gone off.
Oh
no, I think it's back now. It should be okay now.
Is it okay now? Yeah?
Is it okay?
No. So let me try this again. So.
But we can hear you, so don't worry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So that's it. Should be now. Yeah. Okay. So I have just put my dough out onto the table there, sprinkled flour over it, and what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to knead it or work it or do anything like that. And in fact, this soda bread which not only tastes delicious, is very low in gluten. So I have a lot of friends who are gluten-free who can eat this bread. So there it is. I'm just taking the lump of dough on the table and just flattening it out with the heel of my hand. And at that stage, I just cut it into 4 farls, and that is a Northern Irish term. Farl is F for France, A-R-L for love, farl. And this is a farl. And I set the farl onto my griddle. Okay, so here it is. And the griddle is basically just a crepe maker, or you could use a frying pan, any form of good heat. I will set it on there at a high heat for 4 minutes on one side, 4 minutes on the other, and then do it briefly on the sides, and it's finished. So I'm just bringing this over while it cooks, because I'm just going to chat to you. And when this is cooking on the griddle, you will see that it will rise 50% as much as it was to start with. So it literally in front of your eyes rises up, okay? And that's the reaction between the acid in the buttermilk and the baking soda. And once it has risen a good bit and about 3 or 4 minutes have passed, I will turn it over. And as I say, literally from start to finish, 10 minutes, you're just so surprised to have the most delicious soda bread. Cut into it. And my advice very often is to take some of our hand-rolled, handmade butter with dulse. And dulse is actually seaweed. In Northern Ireland, we call that dulse. And this is what the Irish people would have used for their salt back in the day. They found it on the seashore. And this dulse is added to the butter, and it gives it a beautiful salty flavour. In fact, the butter is made in a little farm down the road, and it was the butter of choice for Harry and Meghan's wedding. So it's just lovely to be able to give that to my guests. The other things that we offer here, as Ciara said, in terms of numbers and large groups, we can accommodate around about 80 guests. We are, as I mentioned earlier, touching the Strangford Lough, which is the largest inlet of water in the British Isles. We have canoes, Canadian canoes and paddleboards. Step onto a canoe, go out around the little islands. There are over 300 in the lough. And for very high-end groups, we can offer you lunch on an island. So we would paddle out to the island, which is about 30 minutes paddling, have a lunch on that island, and you're just literally in an island in the middle of Strangford Lough, surrounded by unusual marine life and wildlife. It's an area of outstanding natural beauty and also a marine nature reserve. So you will find lots of very unusual bird life there, and seals and so on. Back on dry land, we offer farm tours. So it's not a tour of this small farm, where we take you out to another farm. We do an Irish farm safari, meet all of the various different animals on that farm, and then have a massive, huge, big barbecue of the beef that is actually butchered on the farm. And the beef it's from the Dexter cow. And a Dexter cow is like a large dog, and it's a typical Irish type of cow, and it produces the softest, most fat marbled meat, really delicious. If you see it on a menu, it's more expensive. So we can do the farm tour, or we can go out on the water, or if your guests want to come down to the gardens, pick their vegetables and herbs and fruit, bring it back to the kitchen and cook here, or cook outside in the garden. We have an outdoor cookery kitchen outside as well. Now, I just want to interrupt 2 seconds to have a look here. So if I can show you there to the camera, this is done. So if it sounds hollow like that, it's cooked. So I'm going to just turn those over onto the other side. And you can just see how quick that is. It just cooks literally in 3 or 4 minutes, okay? So I, as I say, I'm located half an hour from Belfast, but I'm also surrounded by lots of other amazing food producers. We have lots of other experiences here. And as Ciara mentioned earlier, we're new to the scene. You know, we're just kind of getting started, if you like. So we feel our unique selling point is that it's undiscovered, and you won't see, you know, it's not busy with tourists everywhere you look. So sorry, that's gone again. I don't know what, this is very strange, but anyway. Yeah, okay. So so we would love to be welcoming you here. I operate what I do here. I operate all year round, just except Christmas, I suppose. I am also a certified incentive specialist. I have my CIS qualification, and I'm a member of SITE as well. And I also sit on the sustainable group with my local council. I have achieved my accreditation through green tourism. And finally, earlier this year, I was awarded in the top 3 food and drink experiences in Northern Ireland. So, you know, we're ready and open and ready for business, and I can offer all the flexibility in terms of your requirements and so on. So finally, the soda bread is now ready. Okay, so there it is on the other side. And what I'm going to do now is just literally for a second is do what we call harning the bread. And that is spelled H-A-R-N for November, harn. And we think harn is short for hardening. And that just meant that we were cooking it the whole way through. So it's totally ready.
Tracy,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt there. Can I just check? Can anybody see the video now? No? Okay, sorry. I'm just going to try. But I just want, it would be great if they could just see.
No, gosh. Okay.
We saw Tracy in the beginning, and then she disappeared, unfortunately.
Yeah. It says your camera has been enabled. So
yeah, so you're so you should be on view.
Yeah. Is that, can you see me now? No.
1 second now. Let me just see.
Your camera, has been enabled. Yeah, gosh. It's
so still nobody can see, no?
I think maybe she can send us a picture.
oh, that's such a pity.
Let me see. Just let me try this.
It must be from her side in the kitchen or something, from her computer.
Well, it does. I mean, I can see myself on the screen and everything, you know. It just says you're no longer spotlighted. I don't know if that.
Yeah, I'm trying to make you maybe a presenter instead. It's
okay.
Second.
Will I turn off stop spotlighting, Ciara? It says.
Yeah, maybe try that.
Right, is that any better?
Can anybody see now? No? Okay. Let me just.
That's such a pity, isn't it?
Maybe we can use the time while you're trying to fix it to take some questions on board, Norman, and from everyone. And answer some questions which everybody might have.
Well, Tracy, that's the completion anyways of the bread.
Yes, more or less. Yeah.
Well, what we can do is, we can send a picture of the final result and the ingredients, and you know, so you can try it yourself at home, maybe.
Yes,
absolutely. It would be lovely to have the recipe, and definitely send us a picture, which Ciara we can share it then amongst everyone.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll do that straight away. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what is happening.
Now, I mean, now we can be very honest to everyone. This was our strategy. We wanted to give a little hint of Tracy, and then if you want to see the final results, everyone, you need to go to Northern Ireland to meet Tracy in person and experience her, because I did experience her. I did the baking, and it was just a super amazing activity. And I hope that every one of you has the chance to fly over and meet Tracy in person and see her lovely house and get to know her and do the charming cooking lessons. So this is really something unique.
Oh, thank you so much, Carl. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I'd love to welcome you again someday. So
that is perfect. Tracy, thank you so much.
Okay, Kira. So yes, I'll send you pictures now anyway. Okay.
Please send them over to me, and I can share them with the rest of the group.
Okay, and thank you.
As Norman
everybody.
said, we'll have to just get them to you to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, Norman, yes, thank you so much, and I hope to meet you again. Thank you, everybody. Okay.
Thanks, you very much, Tracy. See you hopefully soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so coming back to the questions, if there is anyone having a question in regards to Northern Ireland, the program, the options that we have, and now this is your chance to ask these questions. So far in our chat box, I could not see any question, but I'm sure there might be someone having a question. If not, I do have a question.
I do have one too.
Okay, so let's start with you first, please.
What is the best time of the year for such things as a farm experience together with a city?
Yeah, good question, Gabby. To be honest, like in Ireland, we really do say that you can't plan on the weather or plan on, it's really, you can have 4 seasons in one day sometimes here. So really, we'd say plan for like anytime between April, May, June, and then July or September, October are typically the best times just outside of the holiday season to come and visit. And we'll, we always say as well, even if you are maybe looking at, you're worried about the weather being an issue, you just don't plan for that. We just like make sure we have the right clothing. We've a backup plan as well, if anything, if we did need a contingency. But typically March, April, May, or September, October are the best times of year.
So I thought about less the weather, because we have the same here in Germany, but I think maybe harvesting is a good time. So September, October.
Yeah, or April as well for like for the spring, especially for the sheep farms, just to see the lambs and that as well. So that's a nice time of year to visit.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kurze Frage meinerseits. Es gibt eine Fährverbindung von Liverpool nach Belfast. Ist die publik oder ist die irgendwie, kennt sich jemand aus, wie oft die fährt? Es ist nur eine kurze Verbindung, müsste das nur sein.
There's the question coming up that there's a ferry boat running from Liverpool connecting Belfast and Liverpool. And the question was if that is running frequently, if there is a fixed schedule, and how can we build that in?
That I would need to look into that, Gisela. I wouldn't have that information off the top of my head, but it certainly is a route that does run from Liverpool to Belfast, and has been running for quite some time. I can find out the schedules and see if it's more seasonal or if it is more frequent, and share that information with you as well.
Yeah, this could be very helpful, because Liverpool and Belfast, the cities are connected in history about the Titanic.
Exactly, with the shipbuilding industry. Exactly, they're very much, with their industries and their history, they're very much aligned. And
it's a long idea from myself to make a trip starting in Liverpool. At the Titanic Hotel there, and getting the information about the White Star Line, and then I boat to Belfast. And
wow, that's a really heavy Titanic focused trip. I like her commitment. Yeah, no,
Okay.
definitely. I can find out more information on the actual timings and seasonality of that route and let you know.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I had the same question in regards to the travel period. So this is done. Is there anybody else having a question?
May I just jump in, Kira? I have actually a question. Did I understood correctly? You can actually participate in the shaving of the sheep. Is that an activity you offer?
You can, yeah. Again, depending on the times of year, but it's more, when I say participate, you're more as an observer. You know, like
do it yourself, or at least do some tries.
We have done it in the past, but it's just maybe a bit harder with larger groups for everybody to get a go. So it'll be a case of the farmer will do it, and then if one or two people in the group want to try it, we can do it that way. But it wouldn't be a case that everybody would be able to do it.
And the season is September. You said September, October?
April.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Another question concerning the modes of transfer. You know, it's always nice to use something different than the regular buses. You mentioned helicopters, of course. Is there anything else unique for Northern Ireland we could use besides the regular bus?
Absolutely. So we've done things in the past like self-drive experiences around the region. So even letting people take 4x4 vehicles and going maybe even on like a treasure hunt around the region and breaking it up, that people have a map to follow, a route to follow, and we can have like little challenges for them along the coast. So maybe stopping off in, you know, like some of these unique towns and villages, and maybe going in and finding which is the oldest pub in that village, or going to the next village and finding out like something, you know, some other challenge within the next one. So we can definitely do different, more fun experiences as well, just to kind of get people off the coach and not just focusing on your coach tours. And then in Belfast, of course, you know, there's the opportunity to get around the city by bike, because again, it is a very compact destination. Bike tours, Segway experiences, boat trips. So there's certainly a lot more opportunity there, just apart from your coaches.
Right. Could you just quickly tell us a bit of the capacity of the helicopters? Do you know it offhand?
How many helicopters we can have access to?
Yeah.
No, it generally is a case-by-case basis with the helicopters, to be honest, because it depends on the supply that they have at that time. So we really always do that on a case-by-case, because typically it's within an incentive. It's generally the president's circle or the VIP group within the group. So they're typically the smaller numbers anyway. So we can generally get 3 or 4 helicopters very easily. But if it goes above that number, and if it is larger numbers, it would be a case by case, and we'd have to reach out to our supplier and just see on that date how many would be available. But typically, you know, we have helicopters that can do up between 2 to 6 people. So some helicopters do 2, some helicopters do 4, and we've used helicopters in the past that can do 6 for one chopper.
Okay, great. Thanks.
A question concerning, I like very much the idea to combine Dublin with Belfast.
Mm-hmm.
And how large has a group to be to have a train private?
On that train, it's typically around the 170 mark.
Oh, this is not that much.
No, it's not. For that particular train, once you have that number, that's typically your starting point for privatizing the entire train. Otherwise, you're looking at the carriages, which are in and around the 50 mark. Okay.
No, the train is really a nice idea. I did it several times in Spain to combine cities with the AVE. This is the product, they have it in Spain. And people like riding on railway if it is private.
Definitely, yeah. I think because with that number, you're going to have to pay the exclusive fee. So that's like the minimum number that you would need to really kind of cover the exclusive fee. But you're right, it's such a lovely way to travel. And because when you have a private, you can enhance that experience with music, you know, with storytellers,
artists,
Exactly, making it part
that's
of the
fun.
whole incentive experience.
Yeah.
And it then just it doesn't feel like you're transferring between destinations. So it's a lovely way to travel.
Very nice. Yeah, love it.
Great.
Great, thank you, Gabi, for this question. Is there any more questions from your side? Probably not for now. I see in the chat box there is no question as well. So if there is any questions coming up later, then please feel free to get in touch with us at STO Promos or with Kira directly. Kira will share this information with you anyway and share her contact details and send you sample programs, how an incentive trip could look like. So whenever there's anything we can do, feel free to get in touch with us or come to the IMEX in May, where you can meet us in person and we can talk about and show you some more videos of Tracy, the cooking, and whatever we can offer in Ireland. So
super. Can I just ask, actually, really quickly, Norman, is it on your radar at the moment, Northern Ireland and Belfast, or is it a completely new destination?
Completely new to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the combination, or let's say Northern Ireland is completely new, because as you said, in the past there was really, people were scared about security questions, and it is always on the mind of the clients, even to go to Paris in some years and periods might be to get to be flexible and change last minute destination. This is a horror for clients, and but I think meanwhile it's such a long period of peace and everything is going smoothly. I think it will be much easier to convince people to go to Belfast.
Definitely. And that's the takeaway points I think I would like you to take away with you, is that the fascinating living history that's in Belfast now at the moment to be enjoyed and to be explored. The stunning coastline that's on the doorstep that can really be exploited for groups. The characters like the likes of Tracy and, you know, the other various characters around that region who are just so welcoming and so hospitable. And people just really want to share their story. They want that opportunity to welcome people to their destination. It's open for business. It's ready to go. They've put a lot of investment in this, and not to forget as well the financial supports that are available to help you maybe get that over the line, especially if it is only a case if you're only looking at Belfast or Northern Ireland as a wildcard option. Just keep it in mind, because those supports as well might be able to help just make it a reality. So they're just some of the key takeaways that I'd like you to remember. And as Norman said, I can share any sample programs, any ideas, or if there's any other questions at all, just feel free to reach out to the guys at STO or myself directly, and I would be more than happy to help.
Perfect.
Great. So thank you very much, Kira, for showing us Ireland, Northern
You're
Ireland.
very welcome.
Giving us some insights from your
Pleasure.
perspective. Hopefully we're going to meet all in Northern Ireland soon, personally and live. And yeah, so thank you for your time. Have a good day. And thank you everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. And if there's anything else that we can do from our side, then just let us know. Give us a call, send an email. And yeah, so speak and see you hopefully very soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, everybody. Lovely to meet you all. And I'll stop the recording now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.